How's it, guys? Welcome to Knock Off Rugby. It's been a while, I know, busy life and all that. But I am going to try and get more videos pumped out and hopefully not just previews of games. Hopefully some discussions with some guests and just some general rugby videos, for everyone that loves the sport and loves to talk about the history of the game and certain players. We rate teams and hopefully that's all coming up. But right now, it is time for the Rugby Championship, one of the most exciting times of the year. Um, it is certainly for me, especially now with this new voice that I've found in terms of a rugby channel. So yeah, let's get into it. This video is going to be previewing the two sides that's been named, and hopefully giving my opinion on the players and the two sides and where they stand and who I think is going to take the win. Should we do the Springboks first? They're at home, so it only seems fair. Playing at Ellis Park at altitude, something that I don't think has had as much of an effect as people have been, I sort of suppose, talking up of late. It seems even with the Bulls side, who are there predominantly for the entire year, um, very often teams who come there outperform them um, in the last 20. I mean, I remember, I remember at Loftus. I know they're not playing at Loftus, but it is similar in altitude, slight differences. The Irish side that went to Loftus, they lost in the end, but they pushed it very close, and it was that last 20 minutes where the real differences were made for the Irish. The Bulls and the Lions alike, I feel it's almost as if in the URC they wanted to sort of outlast their opponents, but they almost started too hard. And in the last 20 minutes, they often leaked a lot of points, and I wouldn't say they lost games, but they lost a few. Just that inability to finish games off. And I know I'm talking about, on the one hand, I'm talking about the Bulls who made the final of the URC, so I do understand that. I'm certainly not trying to say that they played badly. I'm just saying the altitude factor for me, I'm not sure is such a big impact or a big influence anymore. Perhaps the smaller teams, but these bigger teams, they know how to train for it. There's so much technology and different techniques that you can use to adapt. And okay, I will admit that any player that plays at altitude, first 5 minutes, your lungs are going to be heaving, but eventually your body does move into a better place. So yeah, I'm not sure. Look, I suppose for me mentally, the Ellis Park factor is a bit of a thing for any opponent. I think it's only the All Blacks that's really beaten us. Um, you know, a comprehensive amount of times at Ellis Park, but generally, not many other teams do. I think Australia hasn't done it in 60 years or something like that. So it's very similar. If you take the All Blacks out of the equation, it's very similar to the Eden Park record. Um, I think some of my Kiwi friends are gonna give me a bit of stick for that, but I'm just trying to make a point. Um, so yeah, let's go through the Springbok side. The front row, strongest I believe you can get. Besar, you can make an argument for Malherbe when he comes back, but Wilco has just been on exceptional form. He's almost scrumming teams by himself. So I'm not sure what the Aussies are gonna, if the Australians are gonna have any answers there, but yeah, I believe that's probably the Springboks' strongest front row. Malherbe, like I say, you could argue, but I would say him and Wilco are like for like. Um, Neither of them are the most mobile props on the field, but damn, they get the job done in the front row. Locks. I don't really think you could ask for more. We have a lot of interchangeable locks that you could partner with Evan, because I believe he's our strongest four lock. But we have a lot of interchangeable five locks that you could put in, four actually, that you could put in, and they would keep the same standard. The only one, all out of the four, I would say Archia is probably the one with the biggest point of difference, but I'm not sure his energy and his engine is at the same level as the other three. So it depends on what you want. He's got a massive point of difference though. He gets through tackles. He gets his arms out free in tackles. I know offloading is amazing, but more than that, he is a heavy ball carrier as well. So, but I like this second row pairing. I think it's again probably up there with the strongest that we can field. The back row, different story. Peter Toy, absolutely best seven we've got. 6, Eskom. I like him a lot. But for me, when he's been given a full 80 minutes or the first 60 or the first 50, depending on how long it takes for us to put the bomb squad on, or the diffused bomb squad, let's put it that way. He's not shone as much as he has when if you're comparing him to the times he comes off the bench. I feel like he's a very explosive player. He's fast off the mark and he can hit. He's also good over the ball. I know Rusty has said that he's looking for two guys who can control the rucks, which plays into our number 8, which is Sia Khaleesi, who's only ever played at 8 for the Sharks and at school apparently. I don't hate him at 8. I think he has played well for the Sharks at 8. However, he's only played for the Sharks at 8. Now, Rusty has said that 8's the only time where the number 8 actually comes into fruition is in the scrums. But on defense, he doesn't play as an 8. But then I ask, who does? The 8 position still does exist. I understand you can be interchangeable nowadays, and you can. Positions aren't set like they were in the old days. However, most of the time you do have a role for every player, and you do have a role position specific. Maybe the back row is now looked at as just the back 3 who sort of have similar disciplines, similar jobs. But I do understand why he picked them there. I think we're pretty low at 8 stocks anyway. We've got a lot of injury. Elrich, Cameron, and then obviously Jasper out with his red card. So we're a bit thin there anyway. But I think it will work. We just got to be a bit careful. A lot of this back row pairing is very new, and I like the look of the Australian back row. So we just got to be a bit careful. But I know, yeah, we should control the ruck generally pretty good. I know Sia is very good in offensive rucks. So when we're attacking, he's very good with those with securing our ruck ball. And then Eskom is very good over the ball. Sia is as well, but I would say Eskom more so. So perhaps that's the that's the yin and yang that you want. In terms of our halfback pairings, we've got Grant Williams and Monty Lebox. Now this tells me that we are going to play probably a pretty dynamic game. I mean, it's not rocket science. It's Ellis Park is a very hard ground. You hit the ground running then. If you start moving your legs, all of a sudden you're going 50 k's an hour. So it is a fast pitch, it's fast track. I'm not sure how stop-start they're going to want to be with that pairing. It depends on if we want to go on an explosive attack, so stop-start, get from set piece to set piece and attack off set phase or launch, or we want to do continuous phasing. That's probably got a lot to do with the back row selection anyway. I think we're going to try and put phases together and we're going to get the ball rolling, and then we've got the centre pairing of Esterhuizen and Creel. Now, this is a very interesting one for me, actually, because in recent memory, I know Jesse in the last press conferences say that they have played together quite a bit. I haven't seen that recently. Generally, Esterhuizen is playing with another 13, even just if it's Moody or if it's but I don't think Jesse and Esterhuizen has played in the midfield very often of late. So that's going to be interesting to me. I want to see that dynamic because I think Dukes is obviously a great ball carrier. I think he's an even better distributor. But Esterhuizen is an out-and-out tank. I think he hits a little bit harder than Dukes. So I'll be interested to see how Marnie Lebok uses him. And then our back 3 is Apelele Fasi, Kurtley Arnser, and Edel van der Merwe, who has been man of the match in every single game that he's played. He's scored, I think, every game, and one of it he scored twice. So I think he's got 4-3, which is a rare. And he's also never lost in the Springbok jersey, which bodes well, I suppose, for us. So I like to look at it. It's just outright pace, outright pace. I believe we're gonna play a certain game, and that game is gonna involve a lot of pace. It's almost as if Australia and South Africa are swapping identities a little bit, because Australia went far more structured against the Lions. So I wonder what they're going to do here. If they're also going to go for outright pace, and then we can just see like the battle of the speedsters. I think they'll lose at this point. I think they have to go structured to beat us at this game. And our replacements is just, again, it is full of experience. Experience. 5-3 though. No bomb squad really. I'm wondering if Andre is going to be stuck on the flank in the latter half of the game. I wonder. Maybe he'll be fresher than Sia or Escom, and they just think, okay, well, there's our fresh 7 or 6. So yeah, we'll have to see about that. Let's move on to the Wallabies, who everyone's saying they had a successful Lions tour. They still lost. Let's remember that. However, and we also can't gauge really how good the Lions were. My opinion is probably was a success, considering where they are in the rankings, and they are ranked 6th or 7th. I think they went from 8th to 6th during the Lions tour, and that was because of losses from other teams. Not they couldn't gain or lose any points during the Lions series. So they played very well in the final test, but one can only think that the Lions were just on the plane already. So I know they've got the narrative that barring a referee call, the Australians could have won the series. I'm not so sure. In my opinion, that call is correct anyway. So, but they'll be riding on a high with that. That's going to be the narrative that they're pushing, and that's going to be their motivation going forward, especially against the Boks. Look, I like this side. They've got experience in the front row as well. James Slipper, Billy Pollard, Tupou, easily one of their best players, probably in the top 3. Slipper, just the amount of rugby this man has played for the Wallabies is something to behold. Tremendous respect, I think, from everybody in the rugby world. And wow, when is he going to stop? Is he making it to the next World Cup? Let's see. 200 tests. Then you got Nick Frost and Will Skelton. We all know that the big difference that Will Skelton can make. He's probably the most talked about player in these two squads of the last week, because we also didn't really know if he was playing or if he was coming down, and then it was clarified. And even when it was clarified that he was on the plane, Joe Schmidt did say that he didn't know if he was going to be starting him. So yeah, I like the look. I don't think their front row is as strong as ours. I think we're still going to have the upper hand in the scrums. Will Skelton will make a difference, but I don't think he will be able to bully the South Africans as he did the Lions. Not in set piece really, but in just general niggle, if you know what I mean. I think he'll be stopped short quite a bit there. Australia will be. It's good for them though to know that they have this big guy who can smile like the old Bucky's Buerta when things are going down. So I like it. Then you got Hooper, McGrath, and Wilson. Wilson, heroic effort in the second and third test. First set, I thought he was a bit to be desired, but second and third test, I really thought he did well. He really played a captain's knock. McGrath, I like a lot. I didn't think he was as influential in the Lions series as he has been in the past. He had a tremendous not URC Super Rugby, but he can be dangerous. He gets over the ball quite easily and quite often as well. So again, going back to the back row selection of the Springboks, I think that's probably why they want to look after the ruck. The Australians do, where they do lack skills, they gain it by being able to disrupt the ruck. They seem to be very good at that. So yeah, the back row, I actually really like the back row. Australia's got a bit of strength there. I'm not sure how their depth is, but no Valentini, which I think hurts them. I think they needed Valentini. He's perhaps going to play in the Cape Town test, so that'll be a different feel. He just brings a bit of speed and explosiveness, and he's a big boy. He just brings a little bit more for the Australians. So I think they are going to miss him, but let's see what happens. Then we've got Nick White and James O'Connor. So Nick White has been retired for 2 weeks. They obviously offered him a great pension, so a great pension bonus or another scheme, because he's back and he's starting against the Boks after his standing ovation in the third test of the Lions. So it's good to see him back, but I feel like he's retired one too many times. Hopefully this will be the last one. Well, I suppose the championship will probably be his last hurrah. I know they've got a few, all jokes aside, I know they've got a few injuries, so he had to come back. And, good for him. I hope that the championship in general goes well. I am a Springbok supporter, so I don't hope it goes well in South Africa, but in general, hope they take the Bledders low. That will be quite nice. O'Connor, interesting pick. No Tom Lana, of course. O'Connor had a decent season for the champions, the Crusaders, so, but more often than not, he was coming off, finishing games off. He hasn't played international rugby for a very long time, so I'm not sure what's going to go on in terms of that 10 jersey. I'm not sure if they're going to try and hide him away a little bit, just to get, especially early on in the game. I feel like if I was a Springbok coach, I'd be telling my guys to absolutely attack the 10 channel. Hit him hard. Make sure that he hasn't been in the stage for a while, so make sure that he feels what it feels like to come back. Ikitau and Suali, I think in about a year's time, they are going to be an argument for the best centre pairing in the world. I like Ikitau a lot. He's got a lot of punch, and he's got a good defensive mindset. Suali is just abnormal in terms of his talent, his offloading, his jumping, his in the air catching, his in the air passing, I'm sure he's going to be a nightmare to mark. But you have to get the ball to him. He has to be there. So they are a great centre pairing. However, it's what becomes before that I'm a bit worried about for the Aussies. Then you've got Jorgensen, Peach, and Wright. Wright has really come into his own. I was never a Wright fan. I always thought that he was a bit of a overhyped player, but he seems to be coming into his own and really making that jersey his. I don't think he's got much in terms of competition, so that's not always a good thing. But he is playing well, so he deserves it at the moment, and he's pretty strong. I have a feeling that even though I said that this is going to be a running game, there's going to be a lot of kicking. I mean, the altitude there is so thin, the ball goes so hard, gives the runners a lot of time to get under it and to chase their own kicks. So it's going to be a strategy. But I think off that launch, off that retake, there's going to be more launches and there's going to be more running rugby. Jorgensen, he seems to just be a try scoring machine, and Peach as well. They talented on the same level as Springbok wingers? No. So I think it's going to be a tough day at the office, but they're dangerous enough if they get space, So it's not a bad side. I actually think the Wallabies forward pack is stronger than relevant to their backline. I think their backline is where, even though you've got Swahili and Ikitau, I think there's certain combinations there in certain positions where they're a bit thin, and I think they're going to get caught out. I think their forward pack is going to give the Springboks a bit of a hard time in the first half. I think it's going to be a close game for 60 minutes. And then eventually the Springboks are going to take it. I think they're going to take it by about 15. So, yeah, bonus point victory for the Springboks. Australia, I don't think you're going to get more than 4 tries, so I don't think you're going to walk out here with the bonus point, but we'll see. Anyway, if you like this discussion, please like and subscribe and leave a comment. I will try and reply to the comment. And yes, thanks for tuning in.